Welcome back, my fellow mobile gamers of YouTube, to a special episode of my weekly mobile gaming recap series, where today we're going to be checking out 4 games instead of the usual 3 games per episode. And I'm sorry there was no video last week, but I was sick and so I couldn't record, but to compensate for that, we're going to do 4 games per episode for at least 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 episodes. So I hope you'll be looking forward to that, because there's a bigger chance then that I'll actually find a game that you are interested in as well. Now, one of the games this week is an action RPG by Angry Birds developer Rovio, which is a sentence that I truly never thought I should hear myself say, because that's not the games these guys usually make, but we're gonna be checking that one out and see what that is all about. And the other games include a zombie shooter with both idle and RPG gameplay elements, a fun match 3 RPG, and a 2D MMORPG that reminded me quite a bit actually of MapleStory. So I hope you want to stick around for that, because this is gonna be a great episode with some really fun games. And we're gonna start it off this week with Last Resistance, which is a unique level-based top-down zombie shooter that then mixes in some idle progression and RPG-like loot, equipment, crafting, and skill systems. Overall, the game is split into campaign levels, dungeons, special missions, and then a PvP mode where we fight against other players' characters controlled by an AI system. And while some levels can definitely easily be cleared using just the idle combat system to grind additional resources and loot, the highest available levels typically require manual combat and skill usage to survive. So this creates a fun and nicely balanced combination of both active and idle gameplay elements. To progress in the game, we can equip and level up loot, we can craft new equipment, change which active and passive skills to take into combat, accept new missions, and switch pets even. Yes, there's a pet system as well, and so we can switch these pets and they provide permanent stat boosts. The game even packs a surprising amount of features not typically seen in indie games, like a friend system, interesting customization skills, events, and just lots more, all of which adds to the overall gameplay experience. Now, to enter a level in this game, we do need something called unstable energy, but this fortunately isn't a punishing energy system, and I didn't find it to hinder my progression during my time with the game. Last Resistance monetizes through in-app purchases for a premium currency used for cosmetics and loot chests, and then a seasonal $9.99 battle pass that gives extra AFK rewards. But thankfully, since the premium currency is very easily earned through just normal gameplay, there's absolutely no need to buy anything to enjoy this game. The game requires online access, takes up 286 megabytes of space, and it's definitely worth checking out if you're intrigued by this unique mix of genres and gameplay elements. Now, before we get to the MapleStory-inspired MMORPG, I wanted to include a bit of an older game that I only just recently stumbled into, called Matchland. And this is a turn-based match 3 RPG with quick level-based matches and a unique twist that allows us to continue matching tiles on the board to maximize our damage and create lots of combos. So the way that works is actually kind of interesting. So once we've moved our very first tile, a short countdown will start indicating when our turn will end. But as long as we continue matching tiles, however, the countdown gets slightly prolonged, allowing us to basically just continue going for as long as we can continue finding tiles to match. One of the reasons I really like this mechanic is that it means we need to plan far ahead before making our first move, and it adds a fun additional tactical layer to the usual match 3 gameplay. Now, when we win a level in this game, we get some gold, we get hero shots, and we get some captured enemies, the latter of which we use between matches to open shops that generate gold over time. And with that gold, in combination with the gold we earn from playing matches, we can upgrade our heroes when we've collected enough of those hero shards. The cute pixel art style is very well executed, and the great animations and neat effects make the game feel very polished, and it makes it just an overall great experience to play. But the difficulty ramps up very quickly though, and we do eventually need to go back to instant finish older levels again for extra rewards, or of course pay real life money to just progress faster. Matchland monetizes through in-app purchases for a premium currency used to buy more gold, hero shard chests, and the energy used to enter levels. The monetization is okay overall, but we are limited in our play session length because of that energy system. It can be played offline, takes up only 95 megabytes of space, and although it hasn't been updated since 2018, Matchland is great fun, at least until the grind walls hit, at which point I suggest just moving on to the next game. So I ultimately think it's still worth checking out if you haven't experienced it yet. Next up is Devilbook, which is a fun 2D action MMORPG where we control a team of 3 heroes while completing quests and beating up monsters across a cute 2D hand-drawn open-world universe. Now, as a modern MMORPG, the game features all the usual crafting, dungeon, and guild systems. But where it sets itself apart though is by providing us with a team of 3 heroes that we can switch between at any time during combat to utilize their distinct stats and abilities. And thanks Thankfully, no matter which hero we use, the XP we gain from that hero is always shared across all 3 of them, which means we can use whichever hero best counters our opponent without worrying too much about out-leveling our other heroes. One thing to note about Devilbook is that although quests and combat can be played manually, it is clearly designed to be automated. This is an auto MMORPG. This does allow us to focus more on managing our team though, including equipping and leveling up new gear, upgrading skills, and much more like that. The only time manual combat is encouraged is really in the daily dungeons, where surviving with the auto system is almost impossible. If you've been around here for a while, you probably already know that I'm not typically a fan of auto systems, but Devilbook's implementation is one of the better I've seen on mobile, as it almost turns the game into an idle game with active management aspects instead of a traditional MMORPG. Just don't go into this game expecting to manually engage in combat and questing, because you are not gonna be doing that. You're gonna be having this game open on your phone next to your computer or while you're doing homework or something like that, because it is just that type of game. Now, there is actually also a PvP system in Devilbook where we compete against AI-controlled enemies, but there's really nothing particularly interesting about it, so you'll mostly be playing for the PvE content. Now, when it comes to the graphics, the UI, and the controls of this game, the tap-to-move controls are very simple, but they work well and they get the job done, and the somewhat minimalistic interface ensures that the UI isn't completely cluttered with alerts and buttons like we see it in some MMORPGs on mobile. There are quite a few heroes to unlock in this game, and the way to do that is through a gacha system we can use by spending premium currency acquired through gameplay or, of course, through in-app purchases. So that means Devilbook monetizes through in-app purchases that allow paying players to progress faster and win PvP much more easily. But as a heavily PvE-focused game though, the impact of this pay-to-win monetization on the free-to-play experience is actually rather minimal, thankfully. The game requires online access, it takes up 970 megabytes of space, and I think it's worth considering checking out for one of the most unique experiences within this auto-focused 2D MMORPG genre. And now for one of the most surprising games this week, Darkfire Heroes, which is the game I hinted at in the intro of this video. It's a fantasy strategy RPG from Rovio, and it features a card-based hero progression system and relatively deep RPG elements actually that very positively surprised me, including spells that are independent of which heroes we use and equipment and soul stones that increase our heroes' power. The core gameplay in this game has us build a team of heroes to complete quests and earn new gear and hero cards by defeating the campaign, dungeons, and even other players in real-time PvP matches. During pretty much any of those game modes, our heroes automatically rush towards the enemies, and then they start attacking, and they each charge up their special strong attack while we can cast spells from our deck whenever enough mana has replenished. But here's the kicker though, by tapping an auto button, yes, you guessed it, all of this can be fully automated, turning what could have been a very interesting combat system into an almost meaningless game of numbers. And to make it even worse, the graphics are nothing out of the ordinary, and the UI is unfortunately rather complex, and it just feels unpolished at this point. And the consequence of all of that is that the game feels slightly dated already at launch, so hopefully this is something that will be improved upon over time as they hopefully continue developing this game. Darkfire Heroes monetizes through an in-app system that greatly limits our play session length, and then in-app purchases for premium currency, resources, loot boxes, and of course a subscription. Yes, even a subscription for additional monthly premium currency. The game requires online access, it takes up 884 megabytes of space, and it truly feels like a game that aspired to provide a deeper and more strategic experience than most other RPGs on mobile, only to then be held back by mediocre UI, auto systems, and heavy pay to win. What a shame. I feel like this game could have been absolutely amazing, but Rovio, you really dropped the ball on this one. So what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with my views and opinions on these games? NimbleNation, let's discuss that in the comment section down below. I'll be looking forward to interacting with you guys. And on your way out, maybe you can leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more mobile gaming goodness, because then, until next time, just keep gaming, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys around. Matchland, whoa. So the way the game works. Now as a mutton MMORPG, mutton. It's a mutton MMORPG.